What's going on, guys? Coach Matt at YouGoProBaseball.com. I'm here with JT Williamson, S4 Sports Academy. We were teammates at YouGoProBaseball and Auburn Baseball.
War Eagle.
And we're going to talk a little bit of hitting today. He was an outfielder, great hitter, and I just want to pick his brain for some of you guys. He's a smaller guy, 5'6", 150 pounds, played Division I baseball, ended up getting a scholarship to play at Auburn. So, you know, for you guys who may be that type of hitter, or I just want to pick his brain so you can hear some stuff, learn some stuff. But before we get into the video about hitting, I want you to check out what JT's got going on.
Schooling looks a lot different right now. More kids than ever are doing school without actually going to school. So the question is, what are your kids doing for PE? I'm Coach JT, and I've been coaching and training kids in PE since 2012. S4 at Home is made up of video lessons that your children can watch to learn proper exercises and sports techniques. It consists of 24 lessons where I will teach your kids right in your own yard. So check us out today. Click the link below to get more information or sign up right now. Let's get active.
All right, so if you guys want more information, check the link down below. But let's talk some hitting. Like what, let's talk from the college perspective,
Sure.
Or maybe even high school if you want to go back that far.
Sure.
Like, what are you trying to do as a hitter? Like, what made you a successful hitter?
Well, so I was always a leadoff hitter. Even batted at the bottom of the order, so 9 sometimes, which they often call the second leadoff. When it comes to hitting philosophy, certainly the basic tone of baseball has changed a lot over the last 16 years since I was a competitive player. But as a leadoff hitter, when I was up to bat, I always went with a goal, right? In most cases, obviously my goal is to get on base, but probably from even a more general spot than that is I'm the catalyst, right? I'm there to set the tone for when the big boppers are going to come up behind me and ultimately drive me in, or what starts a big inning. I mean, there's a million different sort of ways that you can affect the game as a leadoff hitter. So I cringe. I might cringe later saying this now, but I was actually a bit of a guess hitter. I was. Now I'm not sure if that's something that we should necessarily recommend, but I was a guess hitter in the sense that I always paid attention to what the situation was, right? Baseball is, as you go higher, you recognize that there is a lot of games within the game. I really sort of prided myself on being good at all of those games. And I really felt like I got to where I knew what a pitcher or a pitching coach, maybe at some of the lower levels, was trying to do to me, right? And I tried to use counts and use situations to my advantage. So, for example, as a leadoff hitter, I'm really, particularly on the first pitch, I'm really only looking one spot. I wasn't necessarily a big pull hitter, but when I'm up there leading off a game, I was a left-handed batter, I'm looking fastball, middle in. They throw me anything else, I know I'm okay going down 0-1. So I've got my pitch that I want. If they throw it, I'm going to jump all over it. If they throw anything else, I'm going to spit on it and wait for the next pitch, right?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but at Auburn, we would get scouting reports too that would show what the pitcher would throw percentage-wise in each count.
Counts, absolutely.
So like we would go before the game, and this doesn't happen in high school, maybe some high schools, but not in high school I played at. Doesn't happen in JUCO either, but at Auburn, they would come in, we'd have a meeting, hey, 2-0, this guy throws 95% fastballs. 2-1, he throws this, 3-1, and all the counts, every count for that starting pitcher. So we even had a better idea going into it of what that guy was going to throw.
Absolutely right. One of the things that I think really helped me as a player, and this is maybe going to sound counterintuitive, but I made sure that I was very aware of my weaknesses. I can't hit a slider from a left-handed pitcher. I still haven't hit one. I don't know that I've ever even made contact with one. So if I'm facing a lefty, particularly if somebody comes 3/4 or lower, that's not going to be an advantageous position for me. if I see a slider. And, you know, again, philosophies have changed, I'm sure, but the reality of when I was in those situations, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to throw that pitch. I'm going to prepare myself for the pitches that I can hit. Because what have we always said? If you fail if you fail 2 out of 3 times, you're not good, you're great, right? So if I can get myself in the right position once or twice throughout a game, I'm doing my job, right? So I always went into every at bat. I don't care if it was an inter squad. I was practicing what I was looking for in certain situations. I know I outthought this guy quite a few times in inter squads.
I don't think that ever happened. I don't know.
So the point being is that I was prepared. I was always prepared mentally. I knew what I wanted to do. And sometimes the other guy's better, or he's better in that scenario. So you tip your hat, you move on, and you know, you'll get him next time.
What do you think about launch angle?
I think it's like calculus, which I also don't know anything about.
It was one of our teammates, great hitter, Josh Donaldson, Auburn University.
Sort of the pioneer of launch angle.
Yeah. Well, talk about like your swing, like actually like mechanics of your swing. Were you trying to be like your thought process? You trying to be down to the ball, short to the ball, trying to go opposite field? Like what was your whole thought process on that?
So again, swing came through repetition, and that's something that you work on in BP. Certainly in game, I'm focused more on pitches and counts. But if things went wrong, let's say I've gone into a little bit of a slump, or I think we've all had it, where you get up in the plate, you get up to the box, and you just don't feel right. Like you just maybe it's you're at a new park and the mound looks higher, or the box is wide. You know, something's a little bit off. You don't feel comfortable. I would always go back to, I'm just trying to hit the ball right back where it came from. That was always what brought me back to center, which ironically is where I'm trying to hit it. I'm trying to hit that ball right back up the box at the pitcher. Because one of the things that I had trouble with, because I was certainly not a launch angle guy, because power was not my big thing, although I did hit a home run at Tennessee. I don't know if you remember that. However, I was a line drive, put the ball on the ground. I was a fast runner, beat the play out, right? So for me, it was about just getting back to that compact position, because when things went wrong for me, I had trouble with topping the ball and slicing, things like that. If I pulled the ball, I'd top it. If I hit it to the other side, I just hit those little slicers. So for me, it was all about squaring back up, boom, and trying to get that barrel through, going right back up the middle.
So that kind of goes back to like knowing what type of hitter you are. Also, hitting is a lot about timing.
Absolutely.
And if you're thinking going up the middle, you have a little bit more room to be late and go this way, or be early and pull it down the line. You know, so if you're thinking up the middle, you got a lot more room for error, I guess you could say. But knowing what type of hitter you are, knowing what you're trying to accomplish, and then being a guesser, you could say, but like an educated guesser.
That's
like
what
you're
it
not.
was. That's what it was. I would try to put guessing is, I wasn't necessarily guessing pitches. It was more of, I knew what I wanted, and I wasn't gonna submit until I got that, right? Now, and really that reminds me, letting the ball get deep for someone like me who was, again, trying to look up the middle or certainly opposite field, when I would warm up before each game, really in practice, everything, and we would take balls in the cage, I would always have my first 5 or 6 cuts, and don't get me wrong, I missed it plenty of times. I would let that ball get as deep as I possibly could. I mean, sometimes I'm making contact back here, but it was really just a drill of seeing that ball get as deep as I possibly could before I had to make that decision. And as a guy that really didn't ever like striking out and did everything I could to not strike out, young leadoff hitters, don't strike out. That always helped me. Fighting off tough pitches once you get down into those 2 strike at bats, seeing it as late as you can is going to give you the best opportunity.
Did you have a two-strike approach? Like, did you do something different with like 0-2, 1-2?
You know, I didn't choke up. I didn't do anything like that. Certainly 0-2, you're in a little bit of survival mode, right? I mean, that really you're trying to spoil pitches. I honestly, again, back to what I was saying, focused on letting the ball get deep. If it's a tough pitch, you're just trying to get rid of it and fight for another play. But I certainly didn't change my stance or my overall swing or anything like that.
So just more of a defensive swing.
And just a defensive sort of mindset of like, I'm still looking for this one pitch because I've focused on letting the ball get deep. If I notice, strike, just got to get what you can on it. Yep.
Now let's end this video by talking about the younger players. Let's talk about like the 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds when it comes to hitting, because you train a lot of younger athletes. What are you doing? I know in your program you're not giving them bats and baseballs to work on, but if you were to work with a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old in person, what are some of the things that are you gonna work on launch angle with that guy, or what are you working on?
We hold off on launch angle a little bit. So really at that point, again, it's about positioning, right? You just want to get them comfortable and repetition with proper positioning. You know, one of the things we talk about in our program is we always talk ready stance, right? So the way you do that, put your thumbs on your shoulders, draw an imaginary line to the ground. That's where you're going to line your feet up. From there, you bend your knees, push your butt back, right? So that's going to be your basic ready position. That is the universal athletic position. I don't care if you're playing defense in basketball. I don't care if you're getting ready to bat, right? It's all the same, okay? Taking a jump shot, whatever it is, you're generally going to get in that locked and ready position, okay? So as a baseball player, as a hitter, that's where I start. I just want them in the right spot. I want their hands wherever they feel comfortable. You know, I mean, I was always sort of up here, but wherever you want to be, obviously you want to make sure that you got the right hands. I mean, when we work with our younger players, that's one of the first ones we get, aside from standing directly on the plate. That's problem number one. But as a left-handed batter, you want your left hand on top, right hand on bottom. Right-handed batter, you want to go the other way. And then from there, I would say it really, the level of complexity stops there. And from there, it's just a matter of hitting the ball, whether they've got a step or not. I mean, what I've found in working with young kids is that, for the most part, the idea of turning through the hips after a couple swings, that's intuitive to most. And if you do get the ones that are just straight armors, all you got to do is just turn when you hit it, and that will come with just a little bit of repetition. But to go back to some of the things we've talked about today, whatever it is you're doing, make it fun, right? If I'm hitting balls into the screen, I want to have a target somewhere maybe and say, for every time you hit the target, that's 5 points. Little Billy is locked in at that point, right? Now he's got something that he's working towards. That's what it's all about. You want him coming back, hey, Daddy, when can we do the hitting drill with the target again? That's your primary goal when you're coming out of these lessons.
Yeah, if you do that, if you, as a dad and as a coach, I feel successful when that happens. When they ask me, when my 4-year-old son asked me, hey, can we go hit the ball again today? I'm like, yes, I did something right. And I always over-exaggerate his accomplishments. If he does hit that target, I'm making it seem like it's the best thing in the world. And I could see him, I could see his feeling, his eyes get bigger, and he wants to keep doing it, you know, and he wants to show Dad how good he is by hitting it. And I don't over-exaggerate the negatives, like if he rolls over 5 in a row and goes nowhere near the target, I'm like, hey, it's all right, bud, get another one, you know? And then when he does hit that target, I make it a huge deal. And it's just a natural instinct for him, you know, being a young 4-year-old to want to get that feeling again, and it's fun. And when we can do that, we're being successful as a dad or as a coach. So something a little bit different than you normally hear on this channel. You know, I have a lot of high-end hitting guys that come in, talk about stuff for guys on college and pro level stuff. And JT in the beginning of this video talked about some great tips that he did when he was in college. But that's just something we wanted to talk about for the younger guys, because I think sometimes it's misunderstood, and some of those high-level drills are trying to be implemented with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds when really we need to focus on the fundamentals. And really good information all around. Check out S4 Sports Academy at home. I'll leave the link down below if you're interested in checking that out. And we'll talk to you guys in the next video.